Duck and cover. Alright, so it's back to our football discussion. Oh boy, that's too high, isn't it? Too high. Sorry. Too high. Now, how's that? Maybe I lower it a little. Alright, maybe I'll lower it a little. Maybe it won't fall. Keep our fingers crossed. Alright, so let's get right into it. And I'm a short little bastard. And get into the whole NFL situation. So, but luckily, for our purposes here, I can just we can all discuss this and go to one source, which will just give us a basic general reference for what we need to know. So, let me get on there. Okay. First things first, let's go to the NFL. And we'll just go through, why not just start out west, work our way east, then start our way east and work our way west. You'll understand what I mean in a minute. Standings. Alright, here comes the standings. We're going to look at the standings in the National Football League, and I said we'd work our way west, east, east, west. So let's go out to the AFC West first, where you have the Oakland Raiders on top of the division with a 5-4 record, and just a half of game back is the Denver Broncos at 5-5. Then you have the San Diego Superchargers at 4-5. Which is, a full game maybe? I'm not a good mathematician. And Kansas City, same record. So, it's tight, just as we described. We'll take a look at this, see who they play. Shut up. Schedule. So with that in mind, you got this week's schedule in the National Football League. And I always get a little confused with what week it is because of the byes, but it's week 11, so nothing to fear. Alright, the Oakland Raiders. Let's start out with the top team in the division. They are at Minnesota. Now, in the past, that might be a tough trip for a West Coast team to take. All of, going back east, time change, Metrodome, but Minnesota sucks. Okay? So I'm going to say this is one of those rare years where Oakland is going to have a relatively smooth little jaunt out to Minneapolis and back. So let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that they're going to be 6-4. And that'll put them a game ahead of Denver. Next up in the old Wild Wild West, we got the Denver played last night, so it's going to be the Chargers and the Chiefs. Not playing each other, of course, but just respectively playing someone. The San Diego Chargers are at the Chicago Bears. And that is going to be, that's a nice contrast between the smooth little journey to Minneapolis and a nice little quick trip to the Midwest versus a hellacious trip to the Midwest for the San Diego Chargers. Chicago Bears, they may not be the best team in the league or elite by anyone's standards. However, they're good enough to where they can kick your ass at their place. And I think the Chargers are in some deep trouble. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Chargers drop. They go down to the Bears, and that's going to put them at 4-6, 2 games back in the division. And I like the Chargers, and I hate the Bears, so this is not personal at all, actually. I would rather see the Chargers win, but that's just my opinion. Then you have Kansas City at New England, okay? Now, The Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, are one of the most worthless franchises in sports. I cannot stand them. Now, I might have a little bit of a biased chip on my shoulder because you have a worthless quarterback in Matt Castle who's not throwing the ball to Dwayne Bowe, who's coincidentally on my fantasy team. But I've honestly never been a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. And note to self, I will not ever have another Kansas City Chief on my fantasy football roster ever again from this point forth. They traveled to New England for a Monday night game at Gillette Stadium to take on the New England Patriots. Well, it doesn't take a person with a normal cognitive functioning to shut up, I blew it. The Patriots are going to be all over the Chiefs in this one, and they are going to win big. Big. So that means that you're going to have San Diego is going to go to 4-6, as does Kansas City, which for the moment means you have a two-team race, a Oakland 6-4 and a Denver at 5-5. Really, those are the two teams that are in contention right now. But there is still a long way to go. So even if San Diego and Kansas City lose this weekend, I think either of those teams could realistically claw their way back into the race. And I think the Chargers likely will. So that is the AFC West. We're going to pause for a minute and kind of just gather our thoughts and get ready to move our way east slightly as we continue in the AFC. One moment. Yes, this is good shit.